We're making this chocolate bundt cake today. We're talking dense, moist, melt in your mouth, lovely bundt cake with a delicious thick layer of chocolate ganache on top. Yum! To a large bowl, we need 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 3/4 cup of sugar, and 1½ teaspoons of baking soda. We're going to whisk these ingredients together and then set it off to the side while we work on the remaining stovetop portion of this recipe. I will have an ingredients list pop up on the screen towards the end of this video. If you can't wait and need it right away, it's also located in this video's description box along with the directions. To a small pot on the stove over medium heat, we need 1 cup of butter. I'm using salted butter, even though the recipe calls for unsalted. It's fine, use whatever you have on hand. To that, we're going to add in 1/3 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder and 1 teaspoon of salt. Give that a mix until everything is mostly melted, and then add in 1 cup of water. We're going to stir this until all of the butter has melted and we don't see any more powdery cocoa lumps. If you have to, bust out your whisk. Once your mixture looks something like this, we're not boiling or heating it up to any special degree, we're just melting here. Go ahead and take this off the heat. Back to our flour mixture, we're going to pour in about half of our buttery chocolate mixture and mix that in until everything is mostly combined. And this is about as good as it's going to get, so dump in the remaining chocolate. Give it a good mix until everything runs nice and smooth. This looks good. Okay, to this, we're going to add in our final 3 ingredients. 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract and 2 eggs. You're supposed to add them in one at a time, but they sort of just jump ship together. It's fine. Give that a quick mix in before we add in our ½ cup of sour cream. That is all. We're not adding in anything else. Give her one more good mix in, and by now you should have nice, massive mixing forearms, and your whisk is probably bleeding for mercy. And this looks so good. Okay, let's prepare our bundt cake pan. We need a standard sized bundt cake pan, which I believe is about 10 inches or holds up to 12 cups of batter. We're going to take our butter wrapper with the tiny slice of butter on it, and we're going to grease up the entire inside, making sure to get in all those nooks and crannies. This looks good. Now we need to dust the inside with flour, or since this is a chocolate cake, we can dust it with cocoa powder. The choice is yours. Both are good options. Just dump in a little and then rotate the pan around, making sure to coat the entire pan. Also making sure you don't forget to coat that middle part too. Perfect. Now we're ready to dump in our batter. Make sure your oven has preheated to 350 degrees and your oven rack is in the center of your oven. We're going to bake this for 40 to 45 minutes depending on your oven. I left mine in for the full 45 minutes. And here it is, hot from the oven. We're going to leave this alone to cool down for 15 minutes before trying to remove it from the pan. If we try right now, there's a 100% chance the cake will break, so no messing with it. After it has cooled down, it's time to loosen it from the mold. And what better way to do that than to shake it, slap it from the sides, jiggle it, whatever you've got to do that'll help loosen it from the mold. Once you're certain it's ready, cover the bottom with some parchment paper, grab a cooling rack, and flip everything over. Hopefully everything should pop out nice and clean. As a side note, in my experience, if you wait longer than 15 minutes, there's a good chance your cake will refuse to come out later, no matter how much pleating and prodding you do. As it turns out, this one released from the pan very well indeed. Now on to the chocolate ganache. To a bowl, we need ½ cup of melted butter, and since we have a lot of cake to cover, we are doubling this recipe. It's pretty easy to cut it in half should you decide you want less. ½ cup of unsweetened cocoa powder, ½ cup of water, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and 4 cups of powdered sugar. Grab a whisk and mix until everything flows nice and smoothly. Now this ganache will firm up as it starts to set. However, if you feel like this isn't thick enough, perhaps the consistency is too runny for your liking, you can toss in ½ cup more powdered sugar, which I ended up doing. Both consistencies are perfect, it's just a matter of how much chocolate you want on your cake, a thin layer or a thick layer. With that being said, you can apply your ganache in 2 different ways. If you want to coat the entire cake, then grab a big spoon like so and put on heaping amounts of the ganache. If you'd rather have the classic drips or some big scoops, place your ganache in a piping bag like I did for my maple walnut bundt cake and pipe around the top like so. The ganache is a bit thinner than this frosting. Just as long as you continue to pipe over what you previously piped, the ganache should drip down the sides. If not, you can use the back of a spoon to help move the chocolate around. Okay, back to our bundt cake. Once you have it completely covered, give the cooling rack a good shake to help smooth out that ganache before it sets. To transfer your bundt cake, you can use an offset spatula or a cake lifter. I thought I could move it without anything. Just peel back the parchment. My bundt cake did suffer this boo-boo here, unfortunately. So sad. Oh well, you can hardly tell if you turn it around. I did pop this in the fridge to fully set for about 15 to 20 minutes before I started slicing into it. Take a look at that. What a nice thick layer of chocolate ganache. Here's that ingredients list. Yes, absolutely delicious. Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out, and I'll see you all in the next video.